Hi there, Salma. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting these essays for you. Great to see you starting on your essay correction package. Let's take a look at what you have written here. The first one is about employees, if they should stay in the same job or not. Here's what you wrote. In today's modern world, career shifts are the norm in the job market as opposed to the previous generation where staying in a single job for decades was the sign of success. Millennials and Generation Z are opting for trying out different kinds of jobs in various industries during the first few years of their adult life as a way for gaining experience and testing their interests and passions before settling for one job in a certain field the rest of their life. Being a millennial myself, I support this way for a career path. However, staying in one job in this day and age can also have its advantages. Okay, so from what I saw, you're aiming for a rather high score. So I understand that um, your writing needs to be at a higher level. Okay, and it appears that it is. Your introduction was really quite good. High grammar, high vocabulary, appropriate, precise, and all of that. So that was all very good. Now let's talk about some of the things that I would like to see a little different in this paragraph. The first thing is that even though you can write complex sentences that are sometimes a little long, that doesn't mean you necessarily should. So I want to point your attention to this sentence. It was really very long. And so reading it, I was kind of thinking to myself, okay, when is it done? Because when you have a sentence that's so long, it's usually because you have a lot of different ideas, and that reduces clarity. Okay, so yes to complex sentences, no to complicated sentences. Another reason why you want to avoid sentences that are this long is because it's very easy to make a mistake with them. And because there's so much language and so much different stuff happening, it's difficult to sometimes, see where the mistake is. So I want to look at this again, this particular sentence. You said millennials and Generation Z are opting for trying out different kinds of jobs in various industries during the first few years of their adult life. All right, here's where I would stop it. This could be a way to gain experience and test their interests and passions before settling for one job for the rest of their life. Done. You don't even need to say in a certain field. It doesn't add anything. It's just extra language. And not is it just extra language, but it's got a lot of these, like the sentence now has a lot of these prepositional phrases. So look, you've got before settling for one in a certain the rest of their like all of this is like very structural language. And so while we need it, because as the word implies, it gives structure, you don't want too much of it. It becomes heavy, it becomes clunky. Okay. So I definitely would have stopped the sentence here. And then I would have started, this could be a way this could be a way to gain experience and test their interests and passions before uh, settling for one job for the rest of their life. Done. Okay. So that's what I would do with that. And then this one was fine. So let's see what you actually did in your body paragraph. First of all, it is unquestionable that practicing what one is passionate about for a job or a career is crucial for a healthier life. Get rid of that A. As easy as this sounds, one cannot identify their interests and what they are naturally talented at unless they have exposure to different kinds of jobs. For instance, the famous Daily News TV anchor Glenda Pierce, who studied in law school and practiced it in the first decade of her life, explained in her 2015 article how she found out that she had a talent for storytelling and a natural charisma in front of the camera during her internship in a media company after quitting as a lawyer. While she remained the most renowned TV hostess until today, she attributes most of her success to the experience she had in solving cases and presenting them in courtrooms as a lawyer. Okay, let's see. It's unquestionable. Let me read this again so I can understand how well you answered the question. Okay, I think it's fine. you had one central idea, and then you spent the rest of your paragraph really just developing that idea with this example. So your example pretty much went all the way to the end. Um, and that's fine. I mean, there's no one right way to do this. So I think it's fine. I did have a little bit of a concern about it, but in reviewing it, I think that it's acceptable, and I think that the language is good. So you proved your point. Okay, let's continue to the next paragraph. On the other hand, staying permanently in one job is another form of job lifelong what? Staying permanently in one job is another form of job lifelong career success, given the constant exposure and continuous practice until mastery. All right, I don't really understand some of the language here. So maybe you mean something else. Staying permanently in one job is another form of lifelong career success. Yeah, get rid is another form of lifelong career success, given the constant exposure and continuous practice till mastery. Yeah, get rid of the word job there. That was a little confusing. Also, be careful with on the other hand. It's supposed to go together with on the one hand. These two go together. So on the one hand, on the other hand, you're not supposed to use one without the other. And the same thing applies to first of all and second of all. So when you have a first of all, you should have a second of all. Okay? So there are alternatives to these words. Okay? You could have said here, for example, to begin. And then here you could have said in contrast or that having been said. One of those would have been okay. So this ensures career growth in a particular field due to, you're missing here, the many years of practice and unmatched experience to someone else who has been practicing for a short period of time. For example, an article in the New York Times, capitalized that T, in 2018, wrote about how senior surgeons who teach interns and assist residents skillful at giving accurate diagnoses of patients who describe their symptoms before they run tests due to their extensive familiarity with even the most uncommon cases. Grammatically, this has some problems. And this is what I was talking about having these really long sentences. It probably seemed to work when you wrote it, but it's just too long. I mean, my rule of thumb, as I think I mentioned, is that when you get to that third line, that's probably your cue that you've gone too long in the sentence. So you want to reduce it a little bit. Let's take a look at that again. For example, an article in the New York Times, you don't even need to say in 2018. That it's just a lot of information. So, for example, an article in the New York Times wrote about how senior surgeons who teach interns and assist residents. Yeah, look what happened here. So you've got this relative clause, who do this, right? And then who describe their symptoms. So, I mean, where's the verb here? What's happening? There's no action happening in this sentence. And so that's what happens when you write sentences like this. Let's go over it again. So, senior surgeons who teach interns and assist residents skillful at giving accurate diagnoses of patients who describe their symptoms before they run tests. Do something. Okay, you need a verb here. Due to their extensive familiarity with even the most uncommon cases. So you're missing a verb. You've got all these relative clauses, but there's no actual action verb here anywhere. And so you had a problem. And so I don't really know what you're trying to say. I kind of think I know where you were going with this, but it's a really complex sentence. In fact, complicated, and it doesn't get the meaning across. Okay, so avoid this kind of language. In conclusion, while both career strategies have their perks, their usefulness, not they, their usefulness can vary based on the industry, kind of skills needed, and time frame needed to gain mastery with skills for professional lifelong practice. Okay, I like that. That was good. So I saw a lot of really great things in this essay, but it is an essay that still needs a little work. It needs some tweaks. One of the tweaks that I want you to take a look at and try to apply in your next set is reducing the size of some of these sentences in order to aid clarity and readability, basically. Also, don't spend too much time in your introduction. Just 2, 3 sentences and be out of there, because you really want to spend the time to develop your body paragraphs rather than spending so much time here. Okay. The introduction should have a rephrasing of the task. It should present your position, and then that's it. So don't spend too much time there. All right, now we've got this letter. It's the UK and it's the English and Homestay letter. So let's see what you wrote. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you need a comma after Jones. I'm writing this letter in reference to your online advertisement inviting international students for 6 months to a year. Hold on. Inviting international students for 6 months. All right, I don't know what happened with your grammar here. 6 months to a year to stay with considerably affordable prices. I don't understand this. I don't. For stay for considerably affordable prices than student dorms. Okay. I think I know what you're trying to say. Let me look at it one more time. I'm writing this letter in reference to your online advertisement inviting international students for 6 months to a year for considerably more affordable prices than student dorms. All right. So I think this was what you were trying to say. Although I do have to say, I think you have misinterpreted the task and what it means when it says homestay. So what is a homestay? Or what is this English and Homestay program? Basically, it's a program where you sign up for, I guess, English lessons, and rather than staying in a hotel or a dormitory, you're staying in a family's home. So they agree to put you up in their home, and they, assist with meals and your day-to-day life and so forth. So you're really getting, 24-hour a day exposure to the language. So that's what they mean by a homestay. So all of this about like an affordable stay compared to student dorms, it was a little irrelevant. What you're supposed to be doing is you're writing the host family. You're supposed to introduce yourself and thank them for agreeing to be your host family. That's essentially what this should be about. So a good introduction for this would be, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Jones, again, comma, I am writing to thank you for agreeing to host me as part of the English and Homestay program. With this letter, I would like to provide a brief introduction about myself. Okay? And then you could say whatever you're going to say. You can say it even in this paragraph. My name is Salma, and I am an Egyptian doctor or whatever. Okay? And then go on to the next ones. I am from Egypt and have been studying the English language for the past 5 years. While I have reached the advanced level in reading and writing in the language, speaking is still a struggle, and reaching expert level is very hard with the lack of immersion in the language. Okay. Besides your competitive prices, the main reason for choosing to stay with a family is to practice the language daily so that it can become second nature to me. Okay. I arrive on 1st of September. That doesn't make sense. I arrive on 1st of September 10th. No. I see. I arrive on 1st of September at 10 in the morning. While I do not expect you to pick me up, kindly inform me of the best mode of transportation to reach your house and about the main modes of transportation to reach the city center and how to move around there since your place is situated in the countryside. Since I will be arriving in the fall, I was wondering how cold the weather will be. Okay, it's an indirect question, so it should follow sentence order. So that I can pack my clothes accordingly. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Okay, best regards. All right, so I think to me it looks like you had a little more trouble with the letter than you did the essay. I would have liked to have seen this a little differently. I already told you that I wanted a different introduction. All right, that's the first thing. I think you could have maybe consolidated some of this and added it to your introduction. This was irrelevant, this whole thing about the competitive prices. So what you needed to do instead, essentially this could be done in 3 paragraphs. So The first one is the introduction, where you explain the reason why you're writing, you introduce yourself. The second paragraph should be where you ask some questions. It is a formal letter, so the questions need to be asked in indirect language. So, before my arrival to the UK, I would like to ask you some questions in order to prepare. Firstly, I would like to know the best mode of transportation to get to the city center from your home, as I will be traveling for classes and do not want to burden you. This information will be very helpful. Okay? Or you could say, or you can add to that because it says some questions, which means, at least two. As you could have also said, maybe also, since I will be arriving in the fall, please let me know how cold the weather gets so that I may pack my clothes accordingly. All right, and then you're done. Then the next paragraph can be this stuff about arriving there at, on the first, and then so forth. So, also really nice is to have a polite, friendly closing. So, something like, again, I thank you in advance for hosting me, and I look forward to seeing your family soon. All right. Or I'm looking forward to my stay in the UK, something like that. All right. So, the rest of this was fine. Your closing was fine. Looking forward to seeing you soon was fine. So I hope that information puts you on the right track. I hope you understand what you need to do to improve both this and your task two. If you have any questions, feel free to email any questions you have. So go ahead and get started with your next set of essays. Try to apply some of the information you learned, and I'll be looking forward to see what you write next. Okay, so good luck to you.